7 that may be starting this season.
3rd down and 3. Isaac, the bigger back in there. Pass complete to Jake Butt, the All-American tight end. Dives for the cone touchdown.
Nothing better than tight end touchdowns, baby. It's time now to welcome in the All-American. He's all over your television sets on Big Ten Network. Our good friend Jake Butt. Find him on Twitter. If you can't find him on your TV, at JBooty88. Jake, my man, good morning to you. How are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
Doing good, man. Excited to join you here for the next few minutes.
Yeah, hey, look, man, how is everything over at BTN? Because, I'm not going to lie, I like to take full credit for stuff. And I remember the first time I talked to you, I said, this guy's got the juice. It is only a matter of time. It's color commentary. It's in the studio. I mean, the bright lights, not too bright for Jake Butt. How's life over there at BTN?
Yeah, man. Seeds were planted way back then. So it's kind of, we're bearing the fruit these days, man. It's been awesome. It's great. It's an exciting time, too, man. I mean, it's rivalry weekend this weekend. You obviously got Ohio State, Penn State, and then, of course, with conference expansion staring down the barrel next season. I mean, we got a preview of it last week with Oregon, Washington. So, man, I'm fired up, man. It's only getting better as time goes on.
Yeah, it truly, truly is. Let's start with we'll go with the side dish first. We'll do the little appetizer, big noon kickoff. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft are going to be on the call. Number 3, Ohio State brings Penn State to the shoe. Penn State ranked number 7th in the country. Both teams undefeated. Somebody's got to lose. What seems to be different about the rushing attack for Ohio State under Ryan Day, as it seems to struggle in comparison to this team used to be able to line up and run the ball against anybody under Urban Meyer?
Here, because really, to me, it all comes back to the O-line. And to me, I think this was something that got missed this offseason. Ohio State had 3 offensive linemen get drafted last year. So 3 of their starters didn't just move on. 3 of their starters were drafted. Those 3 starters have been playing good ball in the NFL. So they lost 3 high-level NFL talent guys that they had to replace. You're not just going to replace that one-to-one, and I think that's been the number one reason why they've struggled this year. I mean, the backs are talented. We know what Travion Henderson looks like when he's healthy, and Mayan Williams. We've seen Chip train him. Dylan Hayden has done some nice things, but to me, it all comes back to the offensive line and just staying consistent, and for the running back room being healthy. Frankly, they're playing one of the best defenses I've watched this year in Penn State's defense. They're going to need that run game to help take some pressure off of Common Core.
With Ohio State winning 10 of their last 11 against the Nittany Lions, how much pressure is on James Franklin and this Penn State team to go out there and get this victory? Because if they lose this one, I mean, that's pretty much that's a nail in the coffin early.
Yeah, so there's pressure because I think in a sense, maybe vulnerable isn't the right word, but I think James Franklin and Penn State and a lot of fans might think, hey, man, this is our year. We can do this. Even on the road, we can do this. But I don't think a loss, as frustrating it would be for James Franklin, I don't think it would be too detrimental. On the flip side, if Ryan Day loses, I think more pressure's in Columbus. Because, hey, man, you have back-to-back losses to Michigan, no Big Ten championships the last 2 years. If you lose, if Ohio State loses to Penn State today, I think the assumption just becomes that Ohio State will lose to Michigan later in the year. You can't beat Penn State at home. How are you going to beat Michigan on the road? That's a tougher conversation to deal with in Columbus than it would be for James Franklin back in at State College.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. And how insane is that is the standard? Like, no Big Ten titles in 2 years. Like, your seat is getting hotter and hotter by the minute. It's wild to think about that and the amount of success that program's been able to have. Right. Even though, deep down, I know how both of us feel, but we're very politically correct here on this program. We are fair and honest and balanced and all that good stuff. We got a good rushing attack. We got a good pass game too. It is what it is. Gut feeling then in this game, Ohio State, or can Penn State pull off the upset?
So I really think a deciding factor in this game is going to be Penn State's D-line versus Ohio State's O-line. So here's just a couple quick numbers. Penn State is averaging 4.5 sacks per game. That's the best in the country. On the flip side, Kyle McCord, when he has a clean pocket, so when he has no pressure, Kyle McCord is about a 70% completion rate. 12 yards per completion. When Kyle McCord is under pressure, that goes to about a 37% completion rate and less than 2 yards per completion. Completely different stories. I think Penn State's D-line and pass rush is the difference. I got Penn State winning a close one.
Ooh, man, wouldn't that be something? All right, so then to the big one at 7:30, rivalry game. A lot of chatter earlier on when this was announced that it was going to be a night game in the battle for Paul Bunyan, and, you know, some people were talking about Michigan fans shouldn't even go, like it was going to be some sort of bloodbath out there. Like fans were going to turn into, like, Green Street hooligans over the Red Cedar. We know about what took place in the tunnel last year. Michigan State, however, this season, I mean, they're 0-3 in Big Ten play. They're 2-4 overall. The whole Mel Tucker saga has really derailed the program for whatever expectation this you know, their program and their fans had for this season. Is there, I'm not going to say is there a way, because of course you're going to roll it out there, you're going to kick it off, stranger things have happened. But how can Michigan State actually go about beating Michigan on Saturday night? Because I feel like this game has 52-6 written all over it.
Man, you know, frankly, I don't think you're wrong. And I don't think this is a game. I don't think you ask that and you can say, okay, well, logically, this is how we'll do it. Or like, hey, this is where we're better. You know, this will be the difference maker. I think this game has to come from something deeper, you know, for Michigan State. It has to come from something deeper. The good thing is that's the way this game is anyways. And that's why I felt, you know, it's not doing this game any justice to just write it off as if it's already over. You never know what will happen in this game. This team needs to go out there and if they were to win this game, I think it would be less about Michigan State winning this game and more about Michigan State giving a loss to Michigan. You know, that would be the biggest celebration. If their whole season saved, if they can ruin Michigan's season. So I think that's the motivation. That in mind, man, you got to start fast in an upset. You have to start fast and start to tip the pressure over to the favorite and start to give you some confidence as the underdog. And I think there needs to be some timely trick plays, you know, just to keep that flame alive. That's what D'Antonio did. He'll still be on the sideline. I'd be prepared if I was Michigan to have to deal with some trick plays early in this game.
When you look at this Wolverines offense and J.J. McCarthy, who has just been, you know, sensational, 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, they all came against Bowling Green, where you could just see like he was just trying to force stuff that didn't need to be there. It's like, young man, just throw the ball away and we live to play another snap, that type of deal. He seemed to figure that out really quick. They've given up a couple of big scores in some different games where there's been a busted coverage or a trick play that gets a touchdown, and outside of that, the defense has been simply sensational. But offensively, when you look back, not just as an analyst, but as an alum, and you see, you know, Blake Corum, Khalil Mullins, Donovan Edwards off to a little bit of a slower start than what, you know, most Michigan fans thought that he was going to provide, but they've got some options there at running back. You see your guy, Colson Loveland. I know you got to love him, but then Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson and the emergence of, you know, Samaj. And we look at this from a culture standpoint where no one's going to have any stats that are jumping out and are like really, I mean, Roman Wilson's got the 9 touchdown catches to lead the country, and that's sensational. But those big yard games, you know, we just don't seem to have that because there's so much balance. Does that give you a lot of pride in seeing these guys kind of sacrifice my own individual numbers for the good of the team and the culture that's been established there by Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah, so what it really does for me is I think about the expectations going into this season. You know, back in 2021, Michigan entered the season unranked, 0.2% chance, whatever it was, to win the Big Ten title. And then they did that. They beat Ohio State. And then there was this period of transition where a lot of people felt, okay, this is Michigan's league now. And then the other half of the people said, no way, you have to go beat Ohio State on the road. You got to do it again. Anyone can do it, you know, once. Well, then they did it again. So here you are, and people were picking Michigan to win the national title preseason. That's a different type of beast to deal with. And really what that means is that the challenge then becomes, hey, how's your leadership? Are they fit to deal with this? How's the maturity on the team? Are they gonna be able to handle all the positive press? Are they gonna handle the challenges that come with that? And I've said those are the challenges, but because of the guys in the locker room, I am completely confident that they are fit to handle this. The leadership is as good as it's been. And that's going to carry this team to new heights. Really, to be completely honest with you, man, this team's playing like a team that still remembers the TCU game. And I just keep thinking about the fact that they told the world after that game that they will be better because of this. Everyone says that, right? Now it's a thing. Oh, you lost in the Super Bowl? You stand out there and you look at the confetti. How often do people put in the action to back up those words? How often do they put in the action to really do something about it, so to make that picture worth remembering? Well, Michigan, to me, is playing like a team that remembers that TCU game. It knows that they let an opportunity slip through their hands and that they will not let that happen again this year.
On the offensive line, we talked about this with Ohio State. Michigan, year over year, continues to send a lot of bodies to the National Football League. We've seen Blake Corum with 96 carries, 540 whatever yards. He's getting about 5.5 or a little bit more per pop, 12 touchdowns on the ground. It still kind of feels like something is missing. I don't know what it is. I'm not really quite sure. It feels like the yards are a lot tougher to come by this season. What do you see the same thing? Do you feel the same thing, or am I just overreacting?
No, man. We can, as soon as we say that, what do we say? The pass game's much better, right? In order to improve in one area, you have to give something up in the other area. This is a zero-sum game, right? Like, you can't have it all. I am perfectly happy if I'm Jim Harbaugh, if I'm anyone in that offensive meeting. The offense is, I'd say, much more balanced this year. Like, JJ would finish games last year like 9 for 14 for 160 yards and 1 touchdown. They just weren't throwing the ball. And then he needed to a little bit in Ohio State, and he needed to against TCU, but he was always capable of it. So I think this year, what's really benefited them is they're opening up the pass game before they need to, and I think that's beneficial. Certainly, I think Donovan's still working his way back. He will get better. We've seen him at his best. He will check the box and has checked the box at times. Blake Corum looks like Blake Corum. I see no difference. In fact, maybe I see an improvement. Khalil Mullings has taken a huge step forward. So to me, I think this team is right where it needs to be. I think the offensive line is playing some of its best football these past few weeks.
Final thought going into this game against Michigan State. I mean, I know what I think in my heart, and I'll try to be balanced for our Michigan State listeners across the state of Michigan here. But this one feels like it could be a rout. It feels like you could exercise some demons in this one, put a big number up on the board to look back and talk about in a decade from now. What do you think, Michigan State Saturday night?
Say that what I really say that for is because I believe Michigan is the best team in college football right now. I think they're that good. So I think it's a mismatch. I do expect trick plays. I do expect Michigan State to try to keep this thing close early on. But I imagine Michigan is kind of just like a wrestler just leaning their entire body weight on you, man. Over the course of 4 quarters, they are going to be too much. And I think they pull away and win this one pretty handily.
The All-American Jake Butt. Find him on Twitter at JBooty88. Find him on Big Ten Network every night of the week. Jake, my friend, thank you so much for your time this morning, partner. We greatly appreciate it. Continued success to you, my man. It is a fun journey to follow along with you.
Thanks, Anthony. Anytime, man. I'll see you.
There he goes, Jake Butt. It's not often. We were talking about that it factor with Alex DeBrincat a little bit earlier in the show, and you could just tell this guy in the media realm has it. He's got it.